Hello, BookTube. Sorry for the appearance and the sound. I'm in the midst of a day-long allergy attack. No idea what's causing it. No idea where it's coming from. I've been waiting all day for the appearance of windows that might be long enough to do some sort of video, and I haven't had any. This morning, at one point, I sneezed 84 times in 15 minutes, so that by the end, a fine spray of blood was coming up and just couldn't stop, couldn't see, couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't ask for help, couldn't do anything except just sneeze, 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 sneeze. And the attacks have been less severe, but no less frequent ever since. So I'm going to try. I don't want to do no videos at all for the day because we're going to have a stretch where we have plenty of those. So I thought I would try just a brief mail haul. I had a whole bunch of ideas for videos I wanted to do today, but it looks like they're all going to go away until I am healthy again. Right now, I couldn't possibly do them. We will see. I'm taking a gamble with this video because we're going to do a mail haul. I have 4 packages here. Not very many packages, but the problem, the gamble, is that, of course, with a mail haul, you can't undo it. You can't redo it. So I'm going to try and get through these 4 packages without dissolving into a puddle of autonomous reflexes and ooze, and we'll see. We'll see if that works. So I've got my paper shredder ready right here, and we'll just see. We'll see how this works. I have no idea what's going on here, what's blooming somewhere that's causing this to happen, but okay. Oh, great. Fantastic. Okay, I requested this. This comes out next year, of course. Most of these will probably come out next year. This struck a chord with me, to put it mildly. This is Tom Phelan. This is We Were Rich and We Didn't Know It, an Irish memoir. A memoir of growing up in Ireland. Yeah, he was born in the author was born in the Irish Midlands, spent his formative years working with his wise and demanding father as he sought to wrest a livelihood from a farm that was often wet, muddy, and backbreaking. And this is the story of that life. It was a time before rural electrification, before telephone, the indoor plumbing, a time when main modes of travel were bicycle and animal cart, a time when small farmers struggled to survive and turkey eggs were hatched in the kitchen cupboard, a time when the church exerted enormous control over Ireland. And I have a feeling, you would hear all that and you would think, okay, well then what on earth does the title mean? And I have a feeling I know what the title means. I have a feeling that this author and I are going to end up on the exact same wavelength about what that kind of life can be like compared to today. So we will see. I will be reading this in the new year, and then we'll see. Let's move on. I'm just naturally cautious here. I'm just naturally going to keep the mail haul moving along briskly because I'd rather not waste it. And I don't know. Again, there is no BookTube bulletin board where I can just let you all know that I am completely incapacitated and cannot make videos. Although, don't I remember seeing links on Twitter to BookTube videos that were a few seconds long and were only text on a screen? Don't I remember seeing that? That actually is the bulletin board that I'm thinking of. It's possible to make a video like that, where where it's in your subscription feed. That's what I want. Not all of you follow me on Twitter. Not all of you follow me on Instagram. What I'd like is a way to notify you in your subscription feed in a case like this. If you know what I'm talking about, or am I imagining it, just let me know. If there's a way for me to make a video that has no visual component, just to let you know what's going on, that would be great. But anyway, oh, okay, great. All right, this is coming up hard in the new year. This is the post-war moment. This is by Isser Wallach, and I don't think it's translated. I think it's just the author is the Moore Collegiate Professor Emeritus of History at Columbia University, and he lives in New York City. So, so he just has what to my eyes is an odd name. He does not need a translator. And this is an incisive comparative study of the development of post-World War II progressive politics, including the often under-examined role of the United States. After the end of World War II, Britain, France, and the United States were faced with 2 very different choices: return to the civic order of pre-war normalcy, or embark instead on a path of progressive transformation. The author assesses the progressive agendas that crystallized in each of the 3 Allied democracies. He traces their roots in the interwar decades, their development during wartime, and the struggles to establish them after the war's end, and the mixed outcome in each country. And that is the sort of thing that I read that description and was immediately fascinated. I don't think I've read a book like it. Certainly not by by a big university press. So again, I will report back. That's the problem with these mail hauls, is that they're more and more going to become theoretical as they move into the new year, and I don't move with them. So let's move on. Let's see what this next one is. Oh, it's 2 books. It's 2 books, baby bee. It's 2 books. What have we got here? Okay. Okay, the first one is, it looks like a thriller of some kind. This is, let's see here. Okay. Blurb. More blurbs. Okay, more blurbs. Anything to tell me about the book? No. Okay, this is 4 pages, and it does not tell me about the book, so I'm going to have to read you off the book itself, presuming that the book tells me anything about the book. This is Last Woman Standing by Amy Gentry. And it comes out in the new year. Yeah, it comes out in early January, so it's not that far away. Blurb. 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 Author biography. Okay, this is almost beyond belief. Okay, all right. We got one small paragraph on the inside, printed on the inside front cover of the advanced copy. I guess this author must be better known than she is to me, because otherwise you would be telling your reader about the book. It must be just that the author is telling this. And let's see here. Dana Diaz is an aspiring stand-up comedian in a woman in a man's world. When she meets a tough computer programmer named Amanda Dorn, the two bond over their struggles in boys' club professions. Dana confides that she's recently been harassed and assaulted while in L.A., and Amanda comes up with a plan. They should go after each other's assailants. Sounds like Strangers on a Train. Strangers on a Train style. That's a story by Patricia Highsmith in which 2 people meet at random on a train, and one of them is crazy, and it proposes to the other that they swap murders. They each have somebody in their lives that they don't want around anymore. They'll benefit but they're both hesitant to commit the crime because they are the number 1 suspects. Whereas if they swap murders when no one knows they met on this train, then there'll be nothing to tie either one of them to either crime. It'll be perfect. And of course, Strangers on a Train is a lot more complicated than that, but that is the basic gimmick of swapping murders. And here you're going to swap. Okay, Strangers on a Train. All right, so that's an explicit. But Dana finds that revenge, however sweet, draws her into a more complicated series of betrayals. Soon her distrust turns to paranoia, encompassing strangers, friends, and even herself. Okay, so this is a thriller coming out in January. I don't need that at all. That is all publicity material. That's weird. Okay, and then we have another book. This one I requested, and I'm just assuming that this is actually going to tell me. Yes, okay, so this is not just more and more blurbs. This is The Stranger Diaries by Emily Griffiths. And it's a standalone novel. I guess this author has done a series of murder mysteries, and this is not one of them. This is a standalone work. Death lies between the lines when the events of a dark story start coming true in this haunting postmodern gothic mystery, perfect for fans of Magpie Murders and The Lake House. I'm actually, in my own way, a fan of both those things. So, you know her by now. The CWA Dagger Award-winning Ellie Griffiths. I actually don't. I actually don't. This will be my introduction. Who just celebrated the 10th anniversary of her beloved Ruth Galloway Mysteries, featuring quirky, brilliant forensic archaeologists who aids local police in solving crimes. A few years ago, Griffiths began churning out 2 titles per year when she launched the Magic Men series. This one, about the post-war lives of a team of men who used tricks and misdirection to fool the Nazis during World War II. Both series have been praised over and over for their atmospheric genius, their lovable and relatable characters, and their ability to suck in the reader. Truly, I've had reviewers mark the pub dates for future installments on their calendars years in advance. Okay, well, in addition to whatever I'm going to learn or think about the Stranger Diaries, I clearly need to go to the library and find some of those early murder mysteries. That's pretty high praise. Now for something completely different and even more proof that Griffiths is at the top of her literary game. The Stranger Diaries is Griffiths' first standalone novel and a cleverly written gothic mystery that mixes Victorian literary references with modern murder mystery elements to create a thoroughly engrossing read. Beautiful, poised Claire Cassidy is a high school English teacher who is shaken by the death of her good friend and colleague, but becomes undone when she learns that her friend's death mimics events from her favorite ghost story, Victorian author R.M. Holland's The Stranger. The school where Claire works was once home to Holland, and the tale is well known in the community, making a suspect list very long. In her grief, Claire holes up in her room to write in her beloved diary, as she's done for ages. Instead, inside she finds someone else's handwriting amid her own. Oh my God. With the chilling message, "Hello, Claire, you don't know me." Who could possibly have gotten access to her diary, which she keeps locked in her bedside table? Did her teenage daughter become ever more withdrawn and sullen have something to do with this cruel prank? And that's all it is, isn't it? A poorly timed, sick joke? Then another teacher is murdered, and it appears Claire is the link. Okay, so we have, of course, the pub sheet is written from the standpoint of an ordinary character in the real world. Since we are readers, we spend most of our time in worlds that aren't real, and so we know that the moody teenage daughter breaking into the author's diary and writing lines is not the primary suspect, right? Because we've been down, as readers, we've been down this road many, many times before. We know the primary suspect is Claire herself. We'll just see. We will see what becomes of this book. I'm intrigued. I now want to read a lot of this author's work, so I'll have to correct for that as well. So that was 2 packages in that, and this next package is fairly big. In fact, it's so big that I'm having a hard time thinking of what book it could be, unless it's an art book or coffee table book that I didn't see coming. Unless it's one of those, I'm suspecting that this is multiple books as well, because I don't think off the top of my head that I'm scheduled to get anything this big. That's one book that I would know about. Yeah, okay, this is multiple books. All right, so what have we got here? Okay. Okay, this is a bit odd. Why do I have this? Why do I have this? Okay, this came out in February. This is old. We saw it on this channel. This is Ben Stale's gigantic book about the Marshall Plan. Absolutely fantastic. Just an incredible book. Don't know why I'm getting it now. And in the hardcover too. I don't think I still have the hardcover, so I'm actually glad to have it. But I've already read it twice. I've already reviewed it. I thought it was. We were so close to the end. I wonder if this is going to be 50 sneezes or if I can get away with hurrying this to the finish. Let's hope. So we've got the Marshall Plan. That's number 1. We were so close to the end. This has been my whole day, is just wanting to get stuff done, and instead hunching over the side of the bed, sneezing blood onto the floor for just half an hour at a time, followed by just enough time to get a glass of water or to uncramp my chest muscles, and then it starts again. So let's see what we have. Okay, this is also an older book. Not quite as old. This is Rick Wilson's Everything Trump Touches Dies. One of the angrier, it's spot on, of course, for what we know, but it's one of the angrier Trump diatribe books of 2018, which saw quite a few of them. A memorably angry and eloquent book, but I don't know why I'm getting it now. And then, okay, this is another one. This is Seth Abramson's Proof of Collusion. I also already have a copy of this one. This is the author going through what is public knowledge. Most of the crimes that have been uncovered by Donald Trump and one of his sons and most of his lieutenants have all been done in public, in broad light of day. Donald Trump Jr. published his own email trail containing 2 felonies. So, and it either did it because he is 100% convinced that the crime family of which he is the second-ranking member is immune to prosecution, or from just jaw-dropping stupidity. One way or another, I don't really know, but he's not alone by any means. Almost all of the major crimes, including illegal collaboration with the Russian government in order to affect the 2016 presidential election, have all been done in the broad light of day and confessed openly on live television, or printed in a printed email chain. So what this author does in this book is take all of that public information and just sort of connect the dots. You can actually see that there's a line drawing to sort of symbolize. And it, again, is extremely eloquent because it's extremely angry. Some authors get more eloquent the more angry they get. And so it's a Trump book to have, at least for the moment. I can't help but think that most of this will be outdated before Christmas. So, what do you do with a book like that? It's very, very good, but I have a feeling that the whole collusion storyline is coming to a climax that will not be in this book, and that will make this book outdated. So, it's sort of like the reservation that I have with big new species by species guidebooks of dinosaurs. Because the field is changing so much all the time that what are you supposed to do? There was an old book of those called Dinosauria that I just loved. Most of that book has been superseded by science in the meantime. So I don't know what quite to do about this. I have a feeling that I know exactly how the Russia probe, the Robert Mueller probe, the special counsel probe is going to go. I have a feeling that he's going to write an absolutely damning report that implicates Donald Trump personally, every major operative in his administration, directly and with tons of black and white evidence, in a host of crimes, from campaign fraud to aiding and abetting an enemy of the United States. I have a feeling that report will be published, that it will contain dead bang, black letter law proof of all of those things, and that it will mean nothing. That it will mean nothing. The system absolutely relies on checks and balances between the 3 branches of U.S. government. It absolutely relies on that. And the founders that created that system just assumed that since Congress was entirely full of ambitious people who wanted to be president, Congress would form a natural balance on the presidency. And we wondered about that in the horrible nightmare months leading up to Watergate. When that was in the front page every day, some of us wondered, okay, is that actually true? And it ended up being true. It was Republican congressmen who went to President Nixon and said, you have to resign. You're going to take us all down with you. And we have our own interests. And some of our interests are the job you currently hold. And when that was all over, as demoralizing as it was, as much of a gut punch as it was for the country, I remember thinking, well, okay, that was horrible. That was a nightmare to go through. But at least the system worked exactly the way it was supposed to work. It's only been since 2016 that we have seen an example in America of what happens if the legislative branch makes itself a wholly owned and subservient subsidiary of the executive branch. Votes 99% of the time with the executive branch, swallows any outrage, swallows personal insults. Your wife is ugly. Your father plotted to assassinate John F. Kennedy. Just swallow it all. Just swallow everything in order to give yourself a tax cut. That was not anticipated by the Founding Fathers. They assumed, in their wonderful, cranky, cynical way, that nothing was more powerful than ambition. And that if the genius of the federal Constitution was that it pitted self-interest against self-interest, rather than rely on idealism. The one thing the Founding Fathers never envisioned was an executive branch that just knuckled under to a president, even when it clearly spelled their own doom. And that's what's happening. So, this is a shocker of a book. You see what a drop drop-down case can be made just from public data. And you assume the whole time what this author assumes, which is that if this is what you can do with public data, imagine what Robert Mueller and his team of investigators can do with all the stuff that they've uncovered that's not public. And in response to that, I say, what difference does it make? If Congress ignores it, then what difference does it make? It's like I've often asked. I've asked for 2 years. I've asked people for 2 years who were saying, I'm waiting for Mueller. I'm waiting for Mueller. I've said to them, you think the Capitol Police are going to march into the Oval Office and wrestle the president to the ground? They're on his side. Nothing like that is going to happen. My prediction is that Robert Mueller will come out with a report that should, by any sane measure, torpedo the presidency and put half the people in the West Wing in jail, and that nothing will come of it at all. It'll be like it never happened. And the country will just be, I don't understand. There's supposed to be a consequence to this. This isn't supposed to be an end. This is supposed to be the start of a process. That's my prediction, so it makes books like this problematic. Not so much books like this. Books like this are more psychological than they are political, so they probably won't age as poorly. But we shall see one way or another. For all I know, in a few months, this will be more critical than ever. I liked it. I certainly can recommend it if you're no fan of your blood pressure or your heart's health. It's infuriating in a deeply, darkly disturbing way, especially if you're an American. But it's really well done. So I'm not quite sure why I got all three of these, but I'm happy that I did. I have already a copy of this one, so I don't really need a second one. But the other two, I think I've gotten rid of already. So we have Proof of Collusion. We're getting through a mail haul. I'm a wreck here. I'm sorry for how gross it sounds. I won't make any other videos today, and we'll see about tomorrow. We might have to postpone our Moby Dick read-along until I am no longer Swamp Thing. So we have Proof of Collusion, 2 Trump books, Proof of Collusion, and Everything Trump Touches Dies. Then we have The Marshall Plan by Ben Steele, which is, or Steele, however you pronounce his name, a terrific work of history, just terrific. Highly recommend it. Also, in its own way, quietly revisionist. I was impressed by that strand going through the book, was that, yes, this is a big, epic narrative history of a thing that had never been tried before. That's one of the reasons why I love the Second World War so much, to study it, to read about it, is because you're constantly dealing with unprecedented things. And if you read a lot of history, you encounter a lot of precedents. And sometimes they can even feel a little tedious. But with World War II, you, in every book, around every corner, you encounter something that had never been attempted before. And the Marshall Plan is one of those things. And this author doesn't care. I mean, his bibliography is really impressive, but he doesn't care what anybody else thinks about the Marshall Plan. He thinks about it from the ground up, so to speak, and does a wonderful job. So the Trump books, if you can't stop yourself and you have to read Trump books, these are 2 really good ones. But the Marshall Plan, if you read history, you really should read it. It'll be in your library. Then we have The Stranger Diaries, modern-day Gothic along Victorian lines. Then Last Woman Standing, a thriller, both of them due in the new year. Then The Post-War Moment. I'm really hoping for similar things with the Marshall Plan. I'm really hoping that the Post-War Moment also surprises and unsettles my assumptions. That would be wonderful. And We Were Rich and We Didn't Know It. An Irish memoir of pre-electrification days, which was last Monday for some parts of Ireland. So there you go. That was a slurpy, sniffly mail haul. Very sorry about that. No idea what's causing this. But one way or another, I know that I'm just getting lucky here and that I'm due for another spasm. So I'm going to quit while I'm ahead here. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Oh, there's the baby bean. I hope to see you tomorrow, when I hope that the coast is clearer. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Thank you, BookTube.